If you're over 60, you might be carrying visceral fat, the deep abdominal fat that surrounds vital organs like your heart, liver, and pancreas. Unlike the subcutaneous fat you can pinch, visceral fat is more dangerous because it's metabolically active. Research from Harvard Health and major studies shows that excess visceral fat releases inflammatory substances, significantly raising the risk of heart disease, up to double in those with larger waists, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, high blood pressure, certain cancers like colorectal, and even cognitive decline. The great news is that visceral fat responds quickly to lifestyle changes. Scientific reviews indicate that losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight can reduce visceral fat by up to 30%, often more proportionally than other fat types, without needing extreme diets or intense workouts. Even moderate aerobic exercise, like brisk walking combined with strength training, can trim visceral fat effectively while improving overall health. Today, I'll share 5 evidence-based, practical strategies proven in studies to help people over 60 safely reduce visceral fat, boost energy, lower disease risk, and feel better day to day. These aren't quick fixes. They're sustainable habits backed by real science. Stick around to the end for the most powerful one. If you want realistic, science-based health steps that actually fit real life, subscribe to Senior Health Guard right now and help me tailor the next video. Drop a short comment with where you're watching from, city and country, what you're watching on, phone, TV, or computer, and type belly plus your biggest struggle. Night cravings, a hard lower belly, a stubborn waist, or fatigue after meals. 5. Strategic protein timing for metabolic activation. After 60, the way your body responds to protein genuinely changes. I see this often in real life. Many people believe they are eating enough protein, but the issue isn't the amount, it's when they eat it. And timing matters far more than most people realize, especially when visceral fat is involved. Nutrition research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that older adults generally need around 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal to effectively stimulate muscle protein synthesis. This is the natural process your body uses to repair and maintain muscle tissue as you age. Below that threshold, the signal is weak. Your body simply doesn't turn on muscle building the way it used to. This is important because muscle is metabolically active tissue. Muscle continuously uses energy, even when you're resting, while fat tissue uses very little. Preserving muscle helps maintain a higher daily energy expenditure, which over time supports reductions in visceral fat. In a 6-month study following adults over 60, researchers observed that participants who distributed protein evenly across meals experienced greater visceral fat reduction than those consuming the same total protein, but concentrating most of it at dinner. The difference wasn't calories, it was timing. So the goal isn't to overload protein at night. The goal is to hit an effective dose at each meal, repeatedly activating metabolism throughout the day. Think of it as giving your body multiple clear signals instead of one late, blunt message. Breakfast is where this matters most. After an overnight fast, cortisol levels are naturally higher. That's normal physiology. But when breakfast is very low in protein, toast, cereal, or fruit alone, your body can stay in a more catabolic, fat-storing state longer than necessary. Adding sufficient protein early helps stabilize that response and sets the tone for the rest of the day. A simple, practical approach works well. Within the first hour of waking, aim for about 25 grams of protein. Eggs, Greek yogurt, or a well-formulated protein smoothie are all reasonable options. At lunch and dinner, focus on balanced portions of protein, such as fish, chicken, lean beef, or plant-based choices like lentils and quinoa paired with beans. This pattern creates a steady metabolic rhythm rather than a single spike at night. Research from the University of Texas has also shown that adequate, well-timed protein intake can support a higher resting metabolic rate in older adults. This doesn't mean dramatic calorie burning, but it does mean the body uses energy more efficiently, even during rest. The strategy itself is straightforward, but it does require intention. Plan meals around protein first, then add vegetables and carbohydrates. Batch cooking helps immensely. Preparing chicken, hard-boiled eggs, or beans ahead of time, removes daily decision fatigue, and makes consistency easier. A very common pattern after 60 is light breakfasts, light lunches, and then trying to catch up with a large protein dinner. The body simply doesn't respond well to that pattern anymore. Spreading protein earlier and more evenly throughout the day tends to work better for preserving muscle and managing visceral fat. Now let's move to the fourth strategy, one that genuinely surprised many researchers when they first studied it. 4. Temperature manipulation for brown fat activation. Your body has two different fat systems, and after 60, understanding this difference can change how fast you shrink the dangerous fat deep in your belly. White fat is the storage fat. It's the kind that piles up around your organs and quietly drives insulin resistance, inflammation, and that stubborn midsection. Brown fat is different. Brown fat is a furnace. Its job is to burn fuel to create heat. Here's where it gets interesting. As we age, brown fat tends to go dormant, not because your body is broken, but because modern comfort keeps you warm all day. And when brown fat sleeps, white fat has an easier time taking over the center of your body. Now, I need to be completely honest with you. You don't need ice baths. You don't need suffering. Mild cold is enough to wake the furnace. In one study-style protocol, older adults use gentle cold exposure, about 2 hours in the evening, simply by lowering the thermostat and wearing lighter clothing. The goal isn't to shake or panic. The goal is to feel a little cool and let your body do the work. That mild signal tells brown fat, wake up, start burning. And once brown fat turns on, it starts pulling energy from the places you want it gone, especially visceral fat, because it's metabolically active and easier for the body to mobilize. Now you're probably wondering, what if I can't change my home temperature? Then use the simplest version. Finish your hot shower with 30 seconds of cool water, not freezing, just noticeably cooler than comfortable. That small switch is like tapping your metabolism on the shoulder and saying, hey, time to work. Many people also notice they feel more alert, less sluggish, and calmer afterward because your nervous system is learning resilience again. Timing matters here. The best window is early evening, around 6 to 8 p.m., when your body temperature naturally starts dropping anyway. You're not fighting your biology, you're aligning with it. And when you align with your circadian rhythm, the fat-burning signal tends to echo into the night when your body is already in repair mode. You can make it even easier with a tiny habit, a glass of cool water during the day, nothing extreme. Just a gentle nudge that makes your body warm it up. Small signals, repeated consistently, can create real change over time. But the real secret is this: adapt slowly. Start with 15 minutes of cooler temperature. Do that for a few days, then increase. Over a couple of weeks, your body gets better at it, and the cold stress becomes a clean, controllable signal, not a shock. And that's the point. We're not punishing your body. We're teaching it softly to burn again. Now, because this video is designed to help as many seniors as possible, tap like so more people over 60 can find it, and subscribe to Senior Health Guard. The next strategy is where things get even more powerful, because it's not just what you do, it's when you do it. 3. Time-restricted feeding with metabolic windows. After 60, fat loss stops being only about what you eat and starts becoming heavily about when you eat. Your body runs on biological clocks, your circadian rhythm, your digestion, your insulin patterns, and the hormone signals that rise and fall across the day. When those clocks get messy, visceral fat becomes the easiest place for your body to park excess energy and stress. And that's why many people feel like their belly changes, even when they swear they're eating the same way. Here's where it gets interesting. Research from the Salk Institute has shown that simply compressing your eating into a consistent daily window can improve metabolic markers and, in many cases, help reduce abdominal fat, even when people don't obsess over calories. The big idea isn't starvation, it's rhythm. Your digestive system is not designed to work in shifts all day and all night. It needs an off switch. And when you give it that off switch for long enough, your body starts switching fuel sources more efficiently. A practical sweet spot many older adults can handle is something like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That gives you a long overnight break, enough time for insulin to calm down, for repair signals to rise, and for your metabolism to stop acting like it's under constant pressure. During that overnight rest, your body gradually shifts from burning mostly glucose to burning more stored energy. And visceral fat tends to be metabolically active, meaning it's often the first place your body can pull from once the constant food signal finally quiets. The best part is, you don't have to change everything you eat at first. In the most realistic results, people begin with one simple change. They stop eating late and they stop grazing. They stop giving the body tiny snacks that keep insulin whispering all night long. But after 60, you don't do this aggressively. The fastest way to make your body cling to belly fat is to shock it with stress. So you start gently with a 12-hour eating window for the first week, then tighten it by 30 minutes per week until you reach 10 hours, or even 8 to 10 hours if it feels sustainable. No drama, no panic, just consistency. Inside your eating window, keep it clean and simple by focusing on 3 satisfying meals rather than constant snacking. Snacking keeps insulin on, and when insulin stays on, visceral fat tends to stay protected. Make your first meal substantial with protein and healthy fats. Because after 60, protecting muscle is part of protecting your metabolism. Then finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed, so your nighttime repair chemistry has space to work and your deep sleep becomes metabolically meaningful. During the fasting window, keep it simple. Water, plain tea, and black coffee. No sugar, no creamy add-ons that flip the food signal back on. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is to teach your body a daily rhythm again, with a clear on time for eating and a clear off time for repair. Now that you understand when your body burns best, the next strategy takes this even further, because it doesn't just change your clock, it changes what your gut and hormones do with every bite. 2. Targeted soluble fiber loading with prebiotics. Most people over 60 assume their belly is changing because they're eating the wrong foods. But for many bodies, the bigger issue is quieter than that. It's the constant eating signal, small bites, late dinners, uneven meal timing, that keeps your metabolism stuck in a state where it never fully powers down, never fully repairs, and never fully switches into fat-burning mode. Your body runs on biological timing, circadian rhythm, digestion cycles, insulin waves, and hormone patterns that rise and fall across the day. When that timing gets messy, your system does something predictable. It chooses the safest storage space it can find. Deep belly fat, visceral fat. That's why so many people look in the mirror and think, I'm eating the same, yet their midsection keeps changing like it has a mind of its own. Now here's where it gets interesting. Research from the Salk Institute has highlighted something almost annoyingly simple. When people compress their eating into a consistent daily window, metabolic markers often improve, and many see their waistline respond without living like a calorie accountant. This isn't starvation, it's rhythm. Your digestive system was never designed to be on call from morning until midnight. It needs an off switch. And when you finally give it that off switch long enough, your body becomes much better at switching from store mode to use mode. A realistic window for many adults is something like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That creates a long, quiet overnight break where insulin can settle, repair signals can rise, and your metabolism can stop acting like it's under constant pressure. During that rest period, your body gradually shifts from burning mostly glucose to burning more stored energy, and visceral fat is often the first place your body can access once the constant food signal finally goes silent. The most encouraging part is this. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet on day one. The first win is behavioral, not heroic. Stop eating late, stop grazing, stop feeding your body tiny snacks that keep insulin whispering all night long. But I need to be honest with you. After 60, you don't do this aggressively. Shocking your system with sudden extremes is one of the fastest ways to drive stress up and make the body cling harder to belly fat. So you ease in. Start with a 12-hour eating window for the first week, then tighten it by about 30 minutes each week until you reach 10 hours, and only go shorter if it truly feels calm, stable, and sustainable. No drama, no panic. just a steady rhythm your body can trust. Inside your eating window, keep it simple and satisfying. 3 real meals instead of constant snacking. Snacking keeps insulin turned on, and when insulin stays on, visceral fat stays protected. Make the first meal substantial with protein and healthy fats because protecting muscle after 60 is protecting your metabolism. Then finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed so your nighttime repair chemistry can actually do its job and your deep sleep becomes metabolically meaningful instead of interrupted and restless. 1. Controlled breathing with vagus nerve activation. Here's the part most people over 60 never see coming. Your stubborn belly fat isn't only a food problem, and it isn't only an exercise problem. For a lot of older bodies, it's a nervous system problem. When your stress system stays switched on, quietly, daily, for years, your body gets a very clear message. Protect the organs, store energy close to the center, and keep fuel ready. That's visceral fat. Now here's where it gets interesting. Researchers have been paying closer attention to the vagus nerve, the main calming pathway that connects your brain to your heart, lungs, and digestive organs. When this pathway is activated, your body can shift out of fight or flight and into rest, digest, repair. And that shift matters because visceral fat loves stress chemistry. I need to be completely honest with you. The dramatic percentages people quote online can be exaggerated, but the mechanism is real and the effect is powerful in a different way because this method attacks the driver behind belly fat after 60. High cortisol, poor sleep, cravings, inflammation, and unstable blood sugar. Those are the invisible hands pushing fat toward your waist, even when you feel like you're trying. The technique itself is simple, structured, and surprisingly calming. You breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 7, then exhale slowly through your mouth for 8. You repeat that rhythm for about 15 minutes. But there's one detail that turns this from just breathing into a metabolic signal. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and make sure the belly hand rises while the chest stays as still as possible. That's diaphragmatic breathing. It mechanically stimulates the vagus nerve and trains your body to downshift. And timing is everything. Do the first session right after you wake up because morning cortisol is naturally higher. You're not fighting your body, you're guiding it. This morning breathing acts like a reset. It tells the system we're safe, which can reduce the urge to snack, calm the mind, and make the rest of the day feel less reactive. Then do the second session in the mid-afternoon, roughly 3 to 5 p.m., when many people experience another stress spike and cravings suddenly feel louder than logic. That second session is like closing the door before the evening spiral begins. The people who get the best results keep it boring and consistent. They sit somewhere quiet, close their eyes, and let the counting anchor the mind so it doesn't wander into worry. The counting is not just a gimmick. It gives your brain a job so your nervous system can actually shift gears. After a couple of weeks, many people report something subtle but important. Their body starts relaxing within the first few breaths, and cravings soften before they even touch food. So this is the move I want you to start with. No equipment, no injury risk, no perfect diet required. Just 2 short sessions a day that teach your body to stop storing and start releasing. And when you combine this calm signal with the other strategies, protein timing, eating windows, fiber, and gentle cold, everything stacks. The results don't come from one heroic act. They come from the body finally receiving the right messages every day in the right order. At the end of the day, losing visceral fat after 60 isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent with the right signals. Don't start with the hardest thing. Start with the breathing routine because it requires no equipment, no special foods, and no extreme dieting. Yet it gives you something immediate: a calmer nervous system, lower stress drive, better control over cravings, and a body that's finally ready to release fat instead of protect it. Then build slowly. Add just one strategy per week: protein timing, a simple eating window, more soluble fiber, or gentle cold exposure, so your body can adapt without feeling overwhelmed. That's how habits become sustainable, and that's how results last. When your body receives the right message day after day, it can change at any age. Now I want to hear from you. Have you noticed your weight shifting toward your midsection even though you're eating the same foods that kept you slim in your 40s? What has surprised you most about your body after 60? Drop a comment with your age, where you're watching from, in your biggest struggle, belly fat, sleep, cravings, or muscle loss. If this helped you, please hit like, share it with someone over 60, and subscribe to Senior Health Guard. Next video, the biggest mistakes that keep visceral fat stuck, especially nighttime habits that quietly sabotage you.